You're listening to Teacakes on the Sis podcast, sharing little bites of life. I'm Sister Hoff, and today I'm going to be talking about humble embarrassment. A few years ago, I made a blog post called Humbly Embarrassed, and I totally was just showing myself out, ratting on myself basically, that there have been instances where I embarrassed somebody with the intentions to humble them because I've been through these experiences before. I'm not saying this is, you do this all the time. But for example, for ourselves. There have been times we've said something or done something in a situation that there was a reaction, a response, however that came through, that embarrassed us, but it humbled us. It taught us something new, thinking about our language. I know when I was in high school, there were certain jokes and things we would say to each other that are not appropriate. And, I'm not going to say it's because we're young. We just didn't realize that that's not appropriate until we ran into a situation or ran into somebody who was like, hey, that's not appropriate. That is very, for example, very commonly triggering for certain people. Certain words or phrases is not appropriate. Like the whole, oh, go kill yourself. That's an awful joke. I've heard it again recently among young people. It's not okay. Of course, I hear other adults do it too. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's not appropriate because you don't know. There is so much. You can look up the statistics. I don't know the statistics, but there's so much hardship and depression and just this epidemic in America with these things, and saying stuff like that to somebody, you don't know what they've been through. You don't know if that is something on their mind, and you saying that hurts more. It's more triggering. This is, that's a scary situation or hard thing to say to people. Being careful how you say things. We've all learned, let's get away from the really depressing stuff, but we've all learned you never ask a woman if she's pregnant. It is I go up to people and I'll be like, what's new? How are things or whatever? Because I've seen it happen. I know people that, alhamdulillah, this never happened to me, but they went up and was like, oh, when are you due? This has actually happened to me. I have had times in my life, my weight has fluctuated and I was gaining a lot of weight. I was going through a lot hormonally, right? Nobody's business. But I was gaining weight and I had a lady come up to me at work. This has actually happened more than once. So ladies, and it's always a lady who does it. Men don't do it. They know better, alhamdulillah. And they were like, I just want to know, are you pregnant? Or, oh girl, are you pregnant? And I was like, no, I'm just fat. And they're like, oh. I said that to one lady, shocked. To the other lady, I was like, no, I'm not, And it's happened to my friend. She was pregnant and she and I are having a conversation, and this young boy, he was 15, we were working at the grocery store, he came up and he was like, oh, are you pregnant? And I said, no, she's just fat. And he's like, oh, for real? And she's like, no, I'm actually pregnant. But I did that on purpose to kind of tell him hey, I only said that because this is my best friend and she and I have this certain sense of humor. I wouldn't do this with anybody else. It was probably wrong for me. There's a little bit of guilt of oh gosh, I really I embarrassed that kid. Thankfully there was not a large crowd of people. I try to not do this when there's a large crowd of people because I don't want to cause trauma for that person. It's just a small little lesson. Just for me, if you're going to embarrass me to humble me, please don't do it in a large public setting. I have done it where I embarrassed somebody, where I was sitting at a gathering. There were several women there. It might have been 8 women, and it was a culturally diverse. Okay, I'll say that. I will give that disclaimer. It was a culturally diverse setting, and one of the young ladies there said, yeah, I can't handle spicy food. I know, I'm white. And of course I said it kind of quietly. I was like, I'm a white person and I eat Thai hot. And the girl next to me goes, ooh, did you hear what she said? She said she's a white girl and she likes her stuff Thai hot. And I swear the other girl, she turned as pink as her hijab. I felt so bad because I wasn't trying to direct it towards her and somebody else kind of blew it up in that moment. So it's one of those, she was embarrassed, but she was humbled. You can't just assume that an entire race of people, which first of all, you clearly hadn't met Southerners. Like, we like spicy food. You know, ever had Cajun food down in Louisiana? They really doing it. But anyway, you ever heard of Carolina Reapers? Anyway, maybe it's different because this is, this was up north and stuff like that. There's times, and I'm sure you have been through them. I have been through so many of them. I'm actually grateful for them. I really am. Some have been traumatic, but I am grateful for them because I never forgot them. It was a lesson that I learned permanently, and you have to allow yourself to. I know people who they don't ever get embarrassed, and sometimes a little bit of embarrassment does humble you, and you probably need it. Inshallah, you don't ever come across me and me being, I'm not trying to be a bully. Wallah, I'm not trying to be a bully, but it happens where I just it slipped out, and I know that I embarrassed this person because part of me was like, they need to be embarrassed so they learn their lesson and not do this again. There's a time and place, and there's an appropriate and inappropriate. Like I said, large, public, or whatever. It could be side things. Like, I'm in group chats and I text somebody else. Like if one person says something, I'll private message them and say, hey, you shouldn't make a joke about that. That's not okay. Biggest example, this is really tough to say, but there'll be a group, and I've seen this happen on multiple occasions, and I had gone through this in a person, like a one-on-one person, where somebody was like, oh, how about you just come and spend time with my kids? It will work as birth control. You won't want to have kids. And it's like, I've had to, in some occasions, pull that person, private message them or pull them to the side and say, hey, and it's always been the person they directed it towards. I was like, that person, she's actually struggling with infertility right now and either going through treatment or medical process. It's like, oh, that was really a wrong time to make a joke about that or whatever. So again, a lot of touchy topics, and it's embarrassing to be exposed for what you've said, but it humbled you. It is obviously better to read about these things and learn about them so you can be humbled and not have to go through the experience. But if you've been through it, or you can tell, this is embarrassing, I should be embarrassed for this. I should learn from this, have humility, and not do this again. Maybe tell other, I share some stories. Obviously don't share names, but I share these stories like I've shared with y'all, so that you can, inshallah, learn from it and not make these mistakes and learn how to be appropriate about it. And yeah, humble yourself. Try to avoid the embarrassment so you don't have to be humbled through embarrassment. I hope that y'all have taken away something from this. Inshallah, I haven't called anybody out and made you feel embarrassed just listening to some of the stories that I've shared, but I hope you have learned a little bit and been able to humble yourself. I've definitely been learning, even just talking about it, learning more and checking myself and trying to make sure I'm being humble and kind to everybody.